Hello, wonderful people, and welcome. If you've ever felt that frustrating haze creep into your vision, I want you to know you are not alone. For so many of us, hitting our 50s, 60s, and beyond feels like it comes with a non-negotiable contract that includes failing eyesight. We get reading glasses, then stronger reading glasses. We chalk it up to just getting older. But here's the truth I want to share with you today. While our eyes do change, significant vision loss is not an inevitable part of aging. It's not a sentence you just have to accept. Our daily choices, especially the food we put on our plates, have a profound and powerful impact on the health of our eyes. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the science behind age-related vision decline and reveal the specific nutrients and the powerhouse vegetable that contains them that can help protect your precious sight and even help bring the world back into sharper focus. This isn't about magic, it's about biology, and it's something you have more control over than you might think. So, before we get to our star vegetable, it's crucial to understand why our vision starts to get blurry in the first place. Think of your eye like a very sophisticated, beautiful camera. At the back of this camera, you have a delicate film called the retina. And on that film, there's a tiny, special spot right in the center called the macula. The macula is your high-definition sensor. It's what allows you to see fine details, to read the words on this screen, to recognize the faces of the people you love. It's responsible for that sharp, straight-ahead vision. Over time, this delicate part of our eye is under constant attack. From what? Well, from life itself, specifically from two major culprits: damaging blue light from the sun and our screens, and something called oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress sounds complicated, but the concept is simple. Think of it like rust. When you leave a piece of metal out in the rain, it oxidizes and starts to rust and decay. A similar process happens inside our bodies. Unstable molecules called free radicals bounce around, damaging our healthy cells. It's a natural process, but as we age, and due to factors like diet and lifestyle, the damage can overwhelm our body's defenses. In our eyes, this rusting process is particularly dangerous. It can lead to the two biggest thieves of senior sight, AMD and cataracts. With AMD, that high-definition macula starts to break down, causing blurry or distorted central vision. With cataracts, the clear lens of our eye's camera becomes cloudy, like looking through a foggy window. Does any of that sound familiar? It's a slow, sneaky process, but the damage is very real. But here is where the story turns from one of decline to one of hope and empowerment. Our bodies have a built-in defense system against this rust, and we can strengthen this defense system with what we eat. The secret weapons? A specific class of antioxidants. These are the good guys that neutralize the free radicals before they can cause harm. And when it comes to eye health, there are two absolute superheroes: lutein and zeaxanthin. Say them with me: lutein and zeaxanthin. These two compounds are unique. They are the only dietary carotenoids that accumulate in the retina, specifically in the macula. Think of them as your eye's own personal bodyguards. They do two incredible things. First, they absorb damaging high-energy blue light, acting like those internal sunglasses I mentioned earlier. They literally filter out the bad light before it can harm the delicate cells of your retina. Second, they are powerful antioxidants, neutralizing the free radicals and stopping that rusting process in its tracks. Study after study has shown the incredible power of these nutrients. The landmark age-related eye disease studies, AIRDS and AIRDS-2, sponsored by the National Eye Institute, found that supplementing with lutein and zeaxanthin could significantly slow the progression of AMD for people who are at high risk. We're talking about a real, measurable, scientific effect. So the billion-dollar question is, where do we find these eye-saving superheroes? All right, the moment you've been waiting for. The single most potent, nutrient-dense vegetable source of both lutein and zeaxanthin on the planet is kale. Yes, kale. That curly, deep green, sometimes intimidating leafy vegetable in the produce aisle. A single cup of cooked kale contains over 23 milligrams of lutein and zeaxanthin. To put that in perspective, the AIRDS-2 study used a dose of 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin to see significant results. A single serving of kale blows that out of the water. It is without a doubt the king of eye health. Let me tell you about a woman I know. Let's call her Margaret. Margaret is 68. She's a retired librarian, and her greatest joy in life is getting lost in a good book. But over the last few years, she found herself getting headaches. The small print in her beloved novels started to look fuzzy, and she had to use a bookmark just to keep her place on the line. She was terrified of losing the one hobby that brought her so much peace. Her doctor told her that she had the early signs of macular degeneration. She felt helpless, but then she learned about lutein and zeaxanthin. She wasn't a huge fan of kale, to be honest. The taste seemed a bit bitter, but she was determined. She started small. She began adding a handful of baby kale into a morning smoothie with a banana and some berries. She could barely taste it. Then she learned a trick, massaging the kale leaves with a little olive oil and lemon juice for a few minutes before making a salad. It tenderized the leaves and completely changed the flavor. Soon she was sautéing it with garlic and a pinch of red pepper, serving it as a side dish with her dinner. After a few months of being consistent, Margaret noticed something remarkable. One afternoon, she picked up her book, and the words just seemed sharper. The fuzziness had receded. She could read a whole chapter without eye strain. At her next eye appointment, her doctor was amazed. The progression of her AMD had not just stopped, her macular pigment optical density, a measure of the lutein and zeaxanthin in her eye, had actually increased. Margaret felt like she had been given a gift. She had taken back control. She hadn't used a magic pill. She had used the power of food. Margaret's story isn't a one-off miracle. It's an example of what's possible when we give our bodies the right building blocks. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I just can't stand kale. And that's okay. While kale is the king, it belongs to a whole royal family of eye-healthy foods. If you don't like kale, its close cousin spinach is also fantastic. Other wonderful sources include collard greens, Swiss chard, and turnip greens. Even broccoli, peas, and romaine lettuce pack a decent punch. And here's a fun fact. You can also find these nutrients in brightly colored foods. Corn and bell peppers, especially the orange and yellow ones, are good sources. And one of the most bioavailable sources, meaning easy for your body to absorb, is the yolk of an egg. So don't be afraid of those beautiful golden yolks. The key here is making it a habit. It's not about eating a giant bowl of kale once a month. It's about consistently incorporating these foods into your diet. And here's a pro tip to make them even more powerful. Lutein and zeaxanthin are fat soluble. This means your body absorbs them much better when you eat them with a little bit of healthy fat. So when you have that kale salad, drizzle it with olive oil. When you sauté your spinach, use a pat of butter or a splash of avocado oil. When you have eggs, you're all set. The fat is already in the yolk. It's these small, simple tweaks that make a world of difference. Let's talk about making this easy and delicious. My favorite way to get my daily dose is a simple green smoothie. A big handful of spinach or kale, half a frozen banana for creaminess, a scoop of protein powder or Greek yogurt, and some almond milk. Blend it up and you have a delicious breakfast that's actively protecting your vision. Another great idea is making kale chips. Just tear the leaves into bite-sized pieces, toss them with a tiny bit of olive oil and a sprinkle of salt, and bake them in the oven until they're crispy. They're a fantastic, crunchy, and ridiculously healthy substitute for potato chips. Or simply chop up some kale or spinach and throw it into your soups or stews or pasta sauces in the last few minutes of cooking. It will wilt down and you'll barely notice it's there, but your eyes will thank you. What do you think? Which one of these sounds like something you could try this week? It's so important to remember that this is a long-term strategy. You won't eat a giant bowl of kale tonight and wake up with perfect 20/20 vision tomorrow. This is about nourishment. It's about building up your eye's natural defenses over time, creating a shield that protects you day in and day out. It's about preventing future damage and giving your body the tools it needs to repair some of what's been lost. Think of it as investing in your future self. Every smoothie, every salad, every side of greens is a deposit into your clear